It's Squaresville, Ken would say of his hometown Rochester. There was nothing there. Nothing waiting for him but a job at Kodak. He invoked Kodak often as a convenient shorthand for all the reasons Rochester was a nothing place, hardly fit for a man like him, a man with dreams and ambitions. The company that actually invented the digital camera in 1975 haplessly dropped it from their line out of fear it would threaten their core business, a decision that ultimately stripped it of its position as the foremost manufacturer of photographic equipment. Kodak became a poster child for post-industrial irrelevance, as did many mid-sized cities in the Northeast. Ken couldn't see into the future, but he knew Kodak was a place for losers, and so was Rochester. The other thing Ken always talked about was the cold. Over 100 inches of snow a year, 9 months of which were spent indoors. The townsfolk awoke in darkness at 6 o'clock and didn't know if it was morning or night. The May Lilac Festival suffered a regular deficiency of lilacs. The Bonos weren't bothered about the cold and gloom. They had been toughened by endless days working in the hot sun of San Buono in the Abruzzo region of Italy. In 1919, when Kenneth's mother Frances was born, Rochester was an industrial boomtown. Her parents were among the millions that migrated from southern and eastern Europe after the war. They settled in Utica, Syracuse, Buffalo, and Rochester in great numbers, and the cities prospered with the influx of labor. The work was hard, the cold and snow horrendous, but there was a good living to be made, new homes, and space to raise families. And that was all that really mattered. The Bonos were a typical Italian family of their time and place. Devout Catholics, they believed a large family was proof of God's bounty. Frances was one of 8 children. Her father worked long, exhausting hours as a manual laborer, supporting his expanding brood. Mother was occupied all day with the tasks of managing the household and feeding the children. They were provided for materially, but had little in the way of undivided attention or nurturance from their parents, although such was hardly unusual in Italian migrant families at the time. Even so, there was, perhaps, always in Frances, a feeling of being overlooked, a hunger for love and attention that seemed forever beyond her grasp. The shy, sweet temperament of Nicholas Bianchi, therefore, suited her. This was no man about town who she must share with everyone else. The two met at Jefferson High, where they became fast sweethearts. Even then, they were a study in contrasts. Frances was opinionated and liked to take charge. Nicholas was retiring and gentle. He was, according to the mores of the time, an abject failure as a man. He tried to enlist in the army but was rejected because of his phobias of insects and worms and a chronic stutter, for which he had been mercilessly teased throughout school. He joined the American Brake Shoe Company as a laborer, where he would routinely put in 12-hour days. If he couldn't represent his country, he could still do the back-breaking work required of a man with little prospects to put bread on his table, feed a family, and earn some kind of respect in the world. Nobody disputed Nicholas's ability to work, but over time he developed a gambling habit, and all the punishing hours of labor were often for nothing. Frances and Nicholas married in 1941, and despite their incompatible natures, in the early years at least, they were thought to be very much in love. From the beginning, Frances knew that she, too, wanted a big family. As soon as they were married, Frances and Nicholas began trying for a baby. Soon, however, it became obvious something was wrong. Nothing was happening. She consulted a doctor and learned that not only was she unable to conceive, but that she was suffering a life-threatening condition and needed an immediate hysterectomy.